Hey, Phoenix Rising, they're always up to something. We're going to catch you guys up on what happened this weekend, what to look ahead, a little bit of U.S. soccer talk as well. And Rees, what? There's only two of us.
Mr. Vacations,
Mr. Vacations is gone. What a shocker. Enjoy the show. See you in 30. Woo! What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the PHNX Rising podcast, coming to you live from quite possibly my favorite place on the planet, in the universe. We are in Studio K, presented by Circle K. Make sure to stop into your local Circle K, fuel up, save big on the snacks, the drinks, the Polar Pops, everything like that. Enjoy the day. What a great start. I am Max Simpson, and I'm joined by... his jersey is a choice, not one that I really like, but the guy behind it, he's tolerable. Rees, the style like you, Goodall. How we doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm really glad that you're here with me today, Max. And
yes.
Mr. Vacations isn't here today.
Yeah,
Did you
Mr.
notice
Vacations.
that? Mr. Vacations.
What? Mr. Vacations not here today. Yes, make sure to leave a like on your way in here in solidarity with Owen, the classic guy who, he's known for missing pods.
Absolutely.
That's what comes with the Mr. Vacations moniker and rep that he has so often
he's
built.
missing the next three. He's just not locked in at all.
That's just the thing, man. Like, it's one thing, okay, it's a one-off, we get it. But to already announced that you're going to be missing 3 in a row. And the worst part was we were even like, hey, Owen, we would be happy to accommodate you today and say, hey, we can move around the pod if you're able to make one. He said, no, I can't wait to leave the pod and I'm going to miss that extra week. It's really a travesty.
What happened.
That's exactly how I remember it. Yeah, it's really a travesty. But you guys, we're going to carry on just fine. We got the two of us as well, of course. We got Mr. Kyle Cooper behind the brand redacted computer, pushing the buttons, making everything run as smoothly as this show can go without going off the rails, but we all know what's going to happen. Let's take a look, right? As we do, we're going to start off with the little first half of the preview review, which I guess that'd be the review. Poor
review preview.
Yeah, but it doesn't kind of roll off the tongue, right? You kind of have to go.
It
You kind of have to go preview review, even though the review is first. Yes. By the way, James in the chat. Let's go, boys. Let's go. Hop. Leave a like on your way in. We're looking at that last matchup against Rhode Island, and I mean, this. Reese, I feel like so often within rising seasons, and especially at the start, you're kind of left wondering, I don't know what to make of this club. And I think you can see that within some of the score lines and within some of the performances. So whether you're talking about the stats, whether you're talking about the eye test, this is a tough team. It's a very confusing team to kind of figure out how to dissect, because we're going to take a zoomed out look over these past 3 matches later in the show. But at least looking at this Rhode Island match, what was your initial takeaway? Because on watching it back, there's some things I like. There's some things that are good promise, but I just don't know what to make of it, honestly.
It was a very confusing match because taking a point against Rhode Island is a good result. That cannot be understated enough. That is a good point against a team that was runner-ups in the league last season. But the way Rising came out in that match, it was a slow start. They struggled to get going, just like that Tulsa match, just like that El Paso match earlier in the season. But when they clicked. And that's like what we saw in El Paso. When they have their bright moments, it delivers for them. They just need to find a way to play a full 90 minutes and not be turned off for the first half hour or so and then turn it on for the final hour. But again, that's the same problem we had last season with this team. The difference is between this year and last year is that Rising are having brighter moments. They're having more of them. I don't think they would have scored 2 goals if this match had been played last year in that same circumstance. but they just need to figure out a way to just continue putting, shots on target and not kind of just taking shots to take shots. We saw that a few too many times with Remy Cabral. There was one early in the first half when he had a good chance. He was outside of the box on kind of in that left half space area, and he had Hope Avayavu to the right of him. If he plays it off to Hope, Hope almost has a certain goal. Instead, he takes a shot that misses the target completely. Rising just need to eliminate that from their game.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I mean, I think this is a team where, right, we've talked about this before the season started, is there are a lot of guys, right? Some are younger, some are in their early 20s. Again, they have the playing experience, but not necessarily in this league. I think really with anything, there's just a lot of turnover overall from this club. And so I think this is going to be one where it's continuing going to take time. Like you have seen, there are some bright spots with what they have going. I think especially in the attacking end, which I know we're going to get to, but I think it's trying to churn out that entire full team performance. It's a lot of in the buildup. It's a lot of that precision in the final third that I think at times if you're not taking those chances and if you're not capitalizing, I think you compound that with the slow starts and you kind of go into these matches where you look at these past 3 matches, Rising has conceded the first goal in all 3.
Yeah, and they've dug themselves into a hole each time because of that. I mean, the good thing about it is that they're coming back once they concede.
They're putting up a fight. No one can, like, that's the thing. We cannot say that in times and even past seasons, and that's no knock to those other players. But like you are seeing, like this is a young, hungry team where you can't count them out when they're done.
I agree with that. And the issue is they need to tighten up that back line. They need to tighten up that midfield because Rhode Island only scoring 2 goals. If I was a Rhode Island fan, I would not be happy with that because, I mean, they tallied 17 shots in that game in total. They wasted a lot of those opportunities because they just weren't clinical enough. It wasn't just chance creation. They had the chances, weren't clinical from their elite front 3 of Fuzan, of JJ Williams, of Albert Dikwa, but their midfield was just overpowering Rising's midfield, and that's something I don't think it's a major issue because of the guys that Rising were forced into playing and where. I mean, this team had a lot of injuries coming into this game. Charlie Dennis missed out, quite a few others. So it was Jamison Ping getting his first ever start, Hope Avayevu next to him, and then Noble Okello as a 6th. Okello just really isn't that 6 in this team. He's much more of an 8. I mean, there's a reason he's given the number 8 too. And then Avayevu and Jamison Ping, as good of players they are, they're just too undersized. And he kind of saw that. And really in that first goal, came off a bad ball from Rakowski, and the midfield struggled to make up ground for him and cover Rhode Island's transition.
100%. I mean, right, Anthony says it well in the chat. This is a team full of dogs. Dogs, I tell you. I mean, right, I think, right, there can be, and I get there's a lot of consternation online of how there may be, and again, you have to take everything you hear online with very much a grain of salt. Right, I get it. Like, right, there's a bit of a holdup of how are these guys finishing the games? Is there maybe that emphasis once you claw back to go with a win? And that's a different discussion, which I think there is not necessarily of an energy desire, but more so of, hey, how are you managing the rest of the game already after coming back? Fine. And that's maybe has its case in point if we continue to see maybe another match against Monterey Bay like this. But I mean, in terms of their fight back, in terms of how they're structured, I like a lot of what I'm seeing. I think you're just going to have to shore things up like you're saying. I mean, you're mentioning, right, that why there are these slow starts. I mean, we can speculate as much as we want, but let's actually hear from Rising head coach Pa-Modou Kah.
It's us winning our duels and being more physical and, and just wanting it more. I think that's what it came down to. And the boys showed that second half, so now we have to take that into the first half as well. And we showed that spell against Tulsa at home a little bit. We showed it more against El Paso, where the first 20-25 minutes maybe we should have gone up. It didn't happen, we conceded, right? Same thing happened this week. Again, we didn't start well, but hey, all of those things we can rectify, and that's the beauty of it. And that's why I say we have a group that is hungry, a group that is looking to showcase themselves even more, and that makes our job, even as a coaching staff, more fun, because you have a group that is willing and that is driven, to make it right.
They're driven, man. Like that. I think that is something that with this team, this is one of my predictions before the season started, is they're only going to get better as they continue to get more chemistry and get more reps behind them. The slow starts, I will say, I mean, I think some of the things that Coach pointed out is, right, some of that lack of physicality. Listen, there are some things that you can coach, and I think there's other parts that we were talking about is like, right, how are they lining up? There's a lot of talent in certain ends of the field, and I think some of it you do see a size disparity in certain aspects of it.
And Coach also mentioned the duels, and that was also brought up in the post game by every player we talked to, and of course, Pa-Modou Kah as well. In the first half, Rising only won 38% of their duels. They came back the second half and won about 60%, around 60% there. And part of it was they made a change. They took off Jamison Ping, brought on Jerome Margarita, moved Isan Sacco centrally, so they had two strikers, Remy Cabral on Sacco, Damon Rivera on the left, which you watched that first half and saw how Rising's midfield was kind of getting eaten alive. It was a little concerning switching to the double pivot from my perspective, but it really helped Rising in a way that I don't think many could have expected, switching to that more 4-2-4, 4-4-2, whatever you would call it. And translating that to more games, I don't want to call it a personnel issue, but I think once this seems healthy, you'll kind of see the full-fledged result or full-fledged plan for this team.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear you. I mean, right, they're still in a way, I think you're kind of solidifying, at least Coach's mind, right, who they're looking at within the back. Clearly a lot of talent up front. I think is just trying to put some of the pieces together. Let's actually take a look, by the way, by the numbers from that match presented by our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes. Again, it was 2-all, Phoenix Rising 2, Rhode Island. XG relatively similar, 1.6 to 1.71. Possession FC lost this one, which is kind of the shocker that I took away. 47% for Phoenix Rising, about 53% for Rhode Island. As you mentioned, Rising was outshot, especially pretty comprehensively, 17-10. Shots on goal also lost that 5-3. I mean, listen, you look at the aspects of this match, right? You have a pretty incredible goal, back-to-back weeks of incredible goals scored by Phoenix Rising. Damon Rivera with just an absolutely clinical touch. Second goal mopped up a little bit later, kind of spill in the box initially created with the chance from Joe Margarita, creating everything. And this is going to be the interesting thing of how this team is able to contend and stay in matches, because I think a lot of the times where you've seen is this team, they're looking to fight for some of those second chances within the final third. We need to see that translating within some of the duels and some of the more aerial challenges. But I think that's from the offensive standpoint. I think the damning thing that is kind of a bit of concern is we've now seen in back-to-back weeks, this team has given up a goal on set pieces.
I agree. It is a little bit of a concern. I mean, for me, I mentioned last week about how I didn't think it was a concern because I thought it was a point of emphasis for El Paso, because El Paso, through the opening 3 games of the season, have really looked really good on set pieces. But on this one, it was technically credited as a Pa-Modou Boy own goal. I'm shocked that stood because I thought that it wasn't over the line. It took the bounce off the post and then came on the line. And then it looked like it was knocked in. There were 2 players there, so who knows who was off of. But still credited to Pa-Modou Boy. It's not as chaotic as last one where Rising were losing players. It's just bad luck on this one. So is it a concern? Who knows? I mean, they're good on attacking set pieces, but defensively, it's up in the air at this moment.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like Rising, they have this, certainly in the defense, they certainly have good size, good height. Again, can't necessarily say that in all levels of the pitch, but that's going to be the interesting one. I mean, if it's a one-off, okay, it's a coincidence. If it's twice, maybe something to see. I think it's something where even just maybe, you can't say you put the issue to bed throughout the entire season, but against Monterey Bay, I mean, that's got to be something where you are overloading it, because it's not just the fact that they've scored, opposition has scored in back-to-back matches, offset pieces, but I don't know. There have been Rising teams of old where even if they weren't clinical themselves on set pieces, you just didn't see them give up as many.
I mean, they did have a few moments last year. I mean, that Tulsa game, 3-3, Tulsa scored twice. And they had a bit of a stretch then. So I can imagine that is something that calms down. I mean, set pieces are a wave. I mean, I'm wearing my Arsenal kit right now. Then we haven't scored a set piece since December, and we're still called Set Piece FC. It comes in waves. I mean, it's constant, changes. They'll figure it out. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
And they may figure it out on the attacking side and become just lethal there. So who really knows there?
We will have to see. And, you're talking about someone who very much can show, has shown bits and pieces, right? That he has been lethal on his day, especially working back from a little knock. We got Pa-Modou Kah talking about Mr. Aura himself, Joe Margarita.
Margarita is, like I said to you, Margarita is a very important player. He's trending the right way, and it was great to see him get his first 45 minutes. And also he had the assist to the goal, so he played his role. And also he had a moment where he could have scored, and I told him that. But which, it's about getting your game rhythm. It's about getting there. We are getting there, and that's what makes me happy. And again, like I said, you're 3 points off from fourth, and you're 4 points off the top. So, and he's only played 3 games. So there's a lot of games to play for, and that's what we're looking forward. But for us, is trusting the process, taking it game by game.
I mean, listen, he has no shortage of attacking options, right? I mean, you have Drill, you have Rivera, you have people who can put the ball in the back of the net. You have Remy, who's, again, we know he had a really good preseason, trying to see where you can get him involved there. I mean, I think this is something that we've now seen, especially even dating back to last season, a large enough sample size to know what Drill brings to the table. And there's something about his game, and I think it's going to be especially interesting where he's playing with a lot more, I would say, some guys who are maybe a little bit more direct, certainly have the pace. Is Drill, it's not that he doesn't have the speed, but I think he almost slows the game down, and it's like he doesn't seem out of control with the ball sometimes. He's going to lose it, of course, because he's an aggressive player, but the game, he just kind of goes at his own pace, and I mean that in a positive way.
He goes at his own pace, but I also think he speeds it up as his own pace too. I mean, he had 3 dribbles. He completed all 3 against Rhode Island. That is what he's really good at, when it's just him and the defender, and then all of a sudden he's right by the defender. He had a great goal in the preseason in that red-black friendly where he just dropped a trialist in that game and then just slotted it home. He really, that is where he excels in that 1v1 play. And it showed. He created a couple of chances for Rising right off the bat. They look way better in the attack once he came on the pitch at halftime. And it's good to see him back on the pitch, because you could kind of tell that something wasn't quite right in the attack. Yes, they scored 4 goals against El Paso, but they were just lacking something. Damon Rivera was excellent on the left wing, but the right wing with Saka was good enough against El Paso, but it just wasn't that that extra step that Rising needs, and that's what Gerald Margarita brought, and he brought once he came in last season too.
100%. I mean, I think it's just going to be very interesting, just how the different dynamic that this club moving forward, how they're going to operate with the different attacking players that they have, because I think, unlike in other seasons where, right, I mean, a lot of the wingbacks, they're profiling, again, very similar, where you try to get down to the end line, you kind of whip a ball on the cross, and, you hope that someone gets on the end of it. I think this year it's a little bit different, where you can kind of put in guys in different situations, and they're going to bring something a little bit different. Jurl is going to bring something a little bit different than other guys on the roster, and I think it's kind of just the balance of how you're kind of managing those minutes, especially coming back from, not playing and all that other stuff.
I mean, you talk about the difference, the variance in these wingers. I mean, when Saka was on the right wing, it was much more just kind of, you're staying out on the wing and you're going to play crosses in. And then Margarita came in, it was much more you could cut inside. The versatility of these teams, of this team, when they get into trouble, they can switch it up like that, and that will be able to help them. I mean, Margarita, he can play on the right, he can play on the left too. So if Rising are struggling from the left, switch him over. That versatility will really help this team out when they get into trouble, especially against low blocks later on.
100%. Absolutely. Albert in the chat, for all their flaws, I'm so much more confident in a team that scored 6 goals in their first 3 matches than I was at any point last season. And that's the thing. I mean, I think this team is by no means a finished product. There is a lot of work in progress to be had, but I think there's just something a little bit different, and that's not even necessarily, trying to go all positive optimist, but I think just, right, I think that they are looking to try different things. Certainly it is by no means, there's still a lot of growth needed, but I think, yeah, that is an encouraging sign of the 6 goals within the first 3 matches. I mean, I mean, you could probably pull it out faster than I can, but I can't remember the last stretch of matches where we had that many last season.
I'm just looking at the start of last season, how long it took Rising to score 6 goals. 7 games.
Okay. Yeah. And we accomplished that in less than half.
Yeah.
And see, and Devin all in the chat. Eric is right. This pod is Vacation FC. Well, yeah. Owen, exactly. Owen is Mr. Vacations, as we talked about. And, stick around during the break. We can tell you exactly what, we think Owen's doing on his vacation. Don't go anywhere. Well, I just teased it. And, Owen, during his vacation, who knows where he's gallivanting to? He's off somewhere. He's like, he's actually texting me his updates of, I'm on the fly and I have the aisle seat.
Yeah.
And I'm like so used to that because I'm Mr. Vacations and I fly everywhere. But you know what I know he did? He stocked up at Circle K. All the different snacks, multitude of options behind me, and then some in store. The Circle K brand of snacks is just straight up better than not just other gas station or convenience store snacks, but they're just better than other snacks anyway. Like straight up, their sour gummy worms, their peach rings are just better than anything else out there. Got to go stop by our friends at Circle K. Check them out. And here's the thing. I like saving you guys money. Tomorrow, March 27th, you can save 40 cents per gallon. That is a 40 cents per gallon from 6 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. Save that money. Go into your local Circle K at participating locations. Save 40 cents per gallon tomorrow. Go do it now. Also, check out our friends at Spinato. Spinato's Pizzeria is the place to be for Phoenix Suns fans. We are hosting our official watch party with them over on Friday at their Gilbert location. Go check them out. Got nothing to do on a Friday night. Go check them out at that Gilbert location. There's going to be giveaways. Our PHNX Suns crew is going to be doing a live pregame and postgame show there. And they're even doing a pizza competition, right? Reese, you shoot ball, right? The game of horse.
For pizza, I can make any shot.
That's fair. I actually have to see your jump shot now. But they're doing a pizza competition. If you win, you can win free pizza for a year and tickets to the Suns game on April 9th. What's better than free pizza and free tickets? I don't know. You tell me, but that sounds like a pretty darn good offer. Again, this Friday at their Gilbert location. Go check out their watch party. Tons of free stuff, fun giveaways, and all that good stuff. Go check out Spinato's, the official pizza of the PHNX Suns and PHNX, and even myself, because I love me some Spinato's. Let's go. All right. We're back. Also, Kyle, by the way, like you have a job to do. You have an obligation. The people need the snack tosh.
Here we go.
You gotta, listen.
I'm working on it.
Yes.
Let's acknowledge Albert's comment in there. All about Wrexham for O.
Yeah, that's why he's going. Didn't he tell you all about Wrexham for O? James Wilson, yeah, he's probably eating shrimp pizza. Yeah, that guy. I think O is going back to cut. He all these things. This is all true. Yes, Stefano. Gilbert, eyeballs emojis. Be there. What do we have today, Kyle? We got a gummy bear. Would you mind doing the narrating on this? Okay, here we go.
Kyle gets ready for the toss. Max moves forward.
No, is it enough?
Oh my gosh.
Oh no,
just like Spurs, he bottles it. Hits the teeth. Can't reel it in. Did you drop that second one or did you catch it? No. Okay. That first one's poor. Absolutely bottled it.
Okay, went well. Some might say one.
Harry came with Spurs and only with Spurs.
2 shots on target, one in the back of the net. Not bad stats actually if you look at it that way. But we're back talking a little PHNX Rising, a little Phoenix Rising action. There's more we kind of want to dive into from this past match, right? A couple other things that have happened that I think are certainly noteworthy to talk about. I don't know. I think there was some players that featured, right? We talked about Jordan coming back in action. He wasn't the only one, Reese. One, Jameson Ping making his first start for Phoenix Rising. 17 years old. What were you doing at 17 years old? You're on the pod.
I was, I was like sat right over there, probably
doing a little research, becoming our stat lack at 17 years old. 17 years old.
What were you doing at 17?
I was playing a little soccer. A little for my high school.
The NASL, the original NASL.
Yeah, right. No, playing a little high school soccer. Not quite at the level. Not certainly starting in a professional match. Mr. Kyle Cooper, what were you doing at 17 years old?
I was also playing soccer. I was the right back on our varsity team at high school.
Oh yeah, I was the center forward. think you would have put the clamps on me?
I was the center forward the next year.
Okay,
so.
that's crazy. That's just hacking.
That's Darnell King's career path.
That's yeah. Oh my. Well, anyway, Jameson Ping, that's quite a debut. Let's hear from the lad himself.
It was really special. Obviously, I've been, I guess, waiting for it my whole life, being ready. I mean, it was special that it was on my birthday because my family actually flew in town just for my birthday. They didn't even know I was going to start. And so then for them to see, I guess, I didn't really tell them until I got there, until they saw it there that I was starting. So it was a surprise for them.
That's insane in the best way to say, I've been waiting for this my whole life. And it's that's such a cold quote. It's I've been waiting for it and I was just ready to go. And I'm like, brother, been waiting your whole life. You're 17. And I'm not even saying that as a knock. That's just amazing. Bro, I had no concept of time when I was 17, but that's good for him. That's amazing.
I mean, he also said in that quote that he surprised his family members. They were here. It was his birthday on match day. And he didn't tell them that he was in the starting lineup. So I guess he's giving them the birthday present, or is Pa giving Jameson the birthday present?
Maybe it's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both?
Maybe it's a little bit of both. Yeah, man, that's a cool one. That is a cool one. But, right, that's kind of where it's the fun now stark contrast stuff, right? That's a feel-good moment. We're now having to kind of zoom out a little bit further, like we mentioned, and see where in context, this Phoenix Rising squad kind of compares to some of the other ones of recent past. So, Rees, you tapped into your stat like your roots, which we very much appreciate. And we're looking kind of into what does this look like for this club over the opening three games of the past couple seasons, going back to the 2020 season. So 2020 season all up until now, first three matches. Rees, I'm kind of looking at the notes. And here's the thing, like you mentioned, the last time that Phoenix Rising was winless in their first three matches, the season actually ended pretty well for them.
Yeah, that was the 2023 season.
Yeah.
Who remembers what happened there? Rising drew twice with San Diego, or drew with Charleston, lost to San Diego, then drew with San Diego again. That was weird because remember they played it was 4 weeks, but they'd only played 3 games and 2 of them were back to back against San Diego.
That's right.
Weird season that was, but
yeah, they didn't have their home opener until the third match.
Yeah. And it was like the 4th week of the season.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was just weird. It was also the last time Rising started an Academy Kid on the first match.
That's right.
They won the league, and that's what they did this year, or played an Academy Kid rather. But 6 goals for Rising through the opening 3 matches. This is the most since 2022, which that doesn't sound great. They scored 7 that season through the opening 3, but just that scar of 2022. I mean, Rising did start that year excellently. They were hot to open the year, and then it just cooled off faster than anything ever. Defensively, it's the most goals also since 2022. It's the most in that 6 season stretch with 7. And then the last thing I kind of looked at was or before I get to that was it is the least points Rising's picked up through the opening 3 matches beside that 2023 mark. The 2 draws, 1 loss. Every other season they had at least a win, bar that 2023 season. They haven't picked up all 3 or points in all 3 matches to open the year since 2020. That COVID shortened season, bit chaotic that was. And then the last thing I looked at was the 10-point mark. How long did it take Rising to reach 10 points? So in 2020 and 2021, it took them 5 matches in both those seasons. 2022, bit longer with 6. 2023, longer again with 7. 2024 took them till match day 8 to reach the 10-point mark. And they eclipsed it in a couple of these. They were at the 9-point mark, reached 12 with a win. And then a question mark on this year. It is a very difficult schedule upcoming for Rising.
Yeah.
It could be a long time coming before.
It could be. I mean, that's the weird thing is you take 2 points from your first 3 matches. You have a -1 goal differential. And listen, I think this team might be a little streaky, right? I mean, we even talk about that within the context of all of these 3 matches, there were. I think that when you look after the course of these past 3, I think you can make the case that there have been, spurts of the attacking third of the field has gotten better match to match, certainly by no means complete, but there's still streakiness within there. And yet I think some of the lapses within goals, I mean, oh my gosh, I mean, especially that El Paso match, that was just absolutely insane. But I don't know. I think that this club, it's just hard to get a read on. These stats do kind of help of like, hey, in the context of years past, this club gets off to a slow start. There have been worse seasons. I mean, Albert was saying, hey, this actually feels like something. We scored 6 goals in 3 games. You look at last year, they scored 1 goal in the first 3 games. So
Panos goal. Yeah,
I mean, it's just, I don't know. This is one where I think what you're going to see, coming out of the table and where this team actually is racking up points, it may not match the same performance on the field. And that's not to criticize the team. That's not to defend the team. It's just there's not a link right now. It's a weird one.
Yeah, and I don't really. I mean, you just got to build the chemistry. That's really the main thing. I don't think it's fair to judge individual. I mean, maybe individual, but collective quality at this point. Just because I think it's too early to see how does each player mesh with each other. It's a little too early. And Rising, as Pa mentioned, they've kind of had bad luck with, or actually we'll get into this one later. Pa mentioned they've had bad luck with injuries. It's a lot of guys on the list. It just kind of got longer and longer up until last week. Once those guys return, we need to see what is the full strength 11 look like first off, and then how does that full strength 11 play with each other? Because right now we don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and right? I mean, you always hear coaches say, like, how often do you actually have your starting 11 available throughout multiple games?
Yeah.
And I will say, I think that Pa probably has an idea of who maybe is starting 11, maybe even with 2 guys who you can 2 or 3 guys you can sub in and out there. I think it's going to take time to get to that point consistently. But again, you're just building up the chemistry. And I don't know, again, there are pieces here that make me really optimistic or at least hopeful of where this team could go. And, it depends on, like we say, what that marker is. But I mean, I would say this, in terms of what you're picking up points from these first 3 games, you're hoping that they continue to build on the attacking aspect. The defense tightens up, at least in some of the soft goals, or at least ones where you're giving up set piece points. You hope that these, we're taking 2 points from 3 matches. You just hope that at least the goals that they're scoring and everything like that, the rest will kind of shore up, because scoring 6 goals in 3 matches, that's fantastic. You're also giving up 7 in that stretch. That's also not great. So you're going to hope one of them evens out. We'll have to see which end of the spectrum that does.
And I mean, I don't know which one. I think the attack would be the one that just continues to climb.
Sure.
The back line, I think, is more easy to just sort itself out, return to the mean. But I mean, this is a question I have. In my opinion, I don't think Patrick Rakowski played that well on Saturday against Rhode Island. The first goal, he had a bad pass playing out the back. The second goal, okay, but I do you think at some point in the coming weeks there might be a change? Because to me, the last 2 games for Rakowski just haven't been great. Tristan Henry's there; they're supposedly close to being equals. Do you think there's a rotation, Max? Would you agree if there's a rotation at some point?
I mean, it's tough. I don't know. I think one of these things is I wouldn't mind it, but I also think that there's probably a balance with everything. I think it goes back to, right to your point, how much weight are you putting into Rakowski for not just for those goals, but really the overall performance? Because I would say, I think, was he at fault for certainly some throughout these first 3 games? 100%. Do you think that making a swap would help the situation overall? It very well could. I don't think it's necessarily going to be the elixir that you might think, or maybe some others do. But I don't know. We'll see. I think that is a very sizable change to make a goalkeeping change compared to most other positions. And that's not to say you can't. It's just, I think you're going to be sending a message. And if you do, I think especially with a squad that he is, you're looking at the experience that he's had with this club, he is one of the more senior guys on here. You just have to kind of know what you're, kind of have to stand by it and know that how that might impact the locker room and other tangible factors that we're not necessarily taking accounted for.
Yeah, and to Anthony's comment here, most fans want to see Tristan Henry. Honestly, it's early enough to try it out, I suppose. It is interesting because, there were quite a few comments. Through the preseason against St. Louis, Henry looked really good in that match. Then the red-black scrimmage happened, and that goal from Mo Traore, where Henry didn't make anything, really poor effort.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he thought it was deflected or something, because that just was not a good effort there at all. But it's interesting because where do you go if you do make that swap? Because Rakowski came back for playing time. If you move him to the bench, as you said, that could cause discontent in the locker room.
Sure.
So who really knows?
Yeah, and I mean, again, this is not something where I'm not opposed to saying it. It's I think this club is starting to find at least some improvements with offensively. Again, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I think, especially within the midfield and other pieces, the defense, again, like we're saying, it has to be a little bit more tightened up. I'm not saying I'm opposed to change. I'm just saying I don't think we're there yet. If we see another howler or two in the next game or so, I'm very open to it. And listen, if we see a change even against Monterey Bay, it is what it is. And I'm not, you're going to trust the coach to say, hey, you're looking to make improvements for the squad. No problem. And I see James agreeing with Anthony there. And I totally get it. I think a lot of fans do want to see him, and I'm not anti-change. I'm not anti, keep Rakowski in there. I just think given another game or two just to see where the entire team solidifies, if you're seeing that, hey, everyone, their stock is kind of up, but his is kind of either unmoved or down.
Yeah.
I think that conversation, you go from a 3-game sample size, I'm not saying it's nothing, but you now look at 4 or 5 matches.
Yeah.
I agree that's a bit more there. Because also, too, the other thing you have to think about, that's not just the matches. That's also another week or two of practice, of familiarity with the rest of the club. That, to me, I think you could just make an even more sound judgment after that point.
No, that's completely fair. The 3-match sample size is very small. It is hard to judge because you're judging off very minute moments. And yes, when you're a goalkeeper, the moments stand out way.
They do.
The positions where the moments stand out the most are goalkeeper first and then striker second. You miss a sitter, or like Max does here a lot.
Do that. Hey, I almost scored last night.
Almost?
A little small goal soccer. Stuff. Anyway, well, on the other side of the break, we will chat through about how hopefully Rising can score more than Monterey Bay, get that first dub of the season. Catch us then. Alrighty, talking about friends out here. We're talking about keeping y'all cool. We're talking about doing some fun things. How about our friends at All Pro Shade Concepts? Mr. Greg Esposito, the GM extraordinaire, he got his shades outfitted with our friends at All Pro Shade Concepts. Guys, it's hot. It was almost 100 degrees today and yesterday. That ain't right. I can't control the weather. I mean, I'm ad man. I'm not weatherman. But you know what you can help is our friends at All Pro Shade Concepts. Give them a ring. They are the best in the business within the Valley. 20 plus years of experience. They started making window shades by hand for friends and family in Phoenix. And now they're one of the largest installers of patio roll down shades and motorized awnings in the Valley. Whether you want something that's super small and simple, a little bit more complex of a project, it's going to be summer. It's going to be hot. This is the time to get that, your kind of backyard, your awnings, your front porch, whatever, situated before that happens. Call 623-204-1476 or visit allproshadeconcepts.com to schedule your free estimate and tell them PHNX sent you. Also, we're talking about sending people places. I mean, Rees, how about a little Waymo? Do you think that Mr. Vacations took a Waymo?
Oh, 100%.
Of course he did. On the way to the airport. That's what he does. Mr. Vacations, Owen Evans. That's exactly what he does. Took a Waymo before he went on his vacation. But Waymo, whether you're going on vacation a million times a year like Mr. Owen Evans, or you're just trying to navigate throughout parts of the Valley, right? You enjoyed it during spring training. D-back season is about to happen. Suns, maybe they even make the playoffs. You can enjoy with our friends at Waymo. Waymo, it is just absolutely incredible. They are autonomous. It is a wonderful driver experience for when you're in there just enjoying everything that they have to offer. It's nice and immersive. It's calm. You get to pick your own music. It's fantastic. They have over 40 million miles of real world driving experience. You know how many times that's enough to drive to the moon here and back?
I did not.
80 times.
Wow.
80 times. Phoenix rising to the moon. Maybe, but Waymo almost definitely. Download the Waymo One app today and ride in style. All right. We're back here talking Phoenix Rising, right? We've dissected this past matchup against Rhode Island FC. What in the heck is that, bro? Get out of here. Leave a like on your way in here. Don't make sure you to ignore
I don't
Kyle.
want to know that. Is that like chocolate syrup on you,
dude,
or
I think so. I don't even know. What you guys are odd people. Kyle, I thought you said you're on my side.
who's
on
the
this one.
person in the
I am on both sides.
No!
Because we have some ammo.
Whoa.
All right, don't you worry. Yeah, we'll give the people a taste.
I like that. I like the sound.
Maybe
of
you
that.
won't. I don't know. I don't know if you will like that.
that's true.
Yeah, look at his face. Well, let's shift gears. Talk a little Monterey Bay action. Rees, Rhode Island doing pretty well in the table. Monterey Bay doing well as well, and yet that might be a blip in the radar going off past seasons.
Rhode Island's actually not doing well on the table. They don't have a win yet this
Yeah,
season.
yeah.
But Monterey Bay, yes, they through their 3 seasons before this year in the USL Championship, 2 of them, the most recent, they started the season extremely hot and then just completely collapsed. 2022 was when they joined the USL, lost 4-2 on opening day against Rising. Manuel Madrid header.
Oh,
That's the only goal I can remember from that match. And then Monterey Bay just really struggled to get going. But 2023, halfway through the season, 16 games in, they were 3rd in the West, very high up. They ended up missing the playoffs immediately after being 3rd in the West, 16 games in. They went on a 9-match winless run. 2024 last season, not as late into the season, but still had that hot burst to open the year. Seven games in, 2nd in the West, 4 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. They ended up missing the playoffs again, had an 11-match winless run. They're hot again this year. It is only 3 matches in, but 2 wins and a loss. The 2 wins they looked really good in against Oakland and against Orange County. I would predict their hot form continues, but not until the Septembers, Octobers, even August of this season.
Yeah, we will have to see. I mean, right, and kind of in looking at the stats that you pulled up, right, 2 of 3 goals conceded off of set pieces throughout the season so far, right? Again, 2 wins, 1 loss. That loss coming against San Antonio. But, right, you're kind of looking very much at the snapshot within their first 2 wins. What are the keys to victory? I mean, right, they're over-dominating the XG in both of those matches by, almost a goal and a half within these situations, right? They're making teams pay within transition. They're moving quickly. They're capitalizing on mistakes. Listen, this is a Phoenix Rising team. We've seen they made their fair share of mistakes, and not just the ones where they're trying to be aggressive and force the issue, but just simple stuff. If I'm looking at this from a Monterey Bay perspective, and especially playing at home, that's not a bad situation to be walking into.
I completely agree with that. And that's how Monterey Bay won against Rising early in the season in that same fixture.
Yes,
Jose Hernandez made a poor pass out of the back. Monterey Bay immediately capitalized. Against Orange County, they really thrived in that transition. Orange County went down to 10 men. Elijah Paul, former Rising Academy kid, went to FC Tucson, now in the USL again with Monterey Bay. He scored twice. Miles Lyons, former El Paso guy, also used to be with the Barca Residency Academy. He looked really good in only his 2nd appearance of the year in that fullback position. We know he's very versatile, but they are really, really, I think they're playing above what they will be end the season. I don't want to write their team talk. It's only the 4th match, but I think that this team has something. They have something to him now. Jordan Stewart took over for him last year, and they had that kind of new manager bump, and I think that's riding out. But, with all waves, they crash, and I think that's the wave that Monterey Bay is riding right now.
Riding the wave as it does. Speaking of Jordan Stewart, let's hear from head coach Pa-Modou Kah talking about Jordan Stewart and how Monterey Bay is faring so far.
Jordan done a fantastic job, and again, I don't think he's surprised. Jordan understands football, knowledge about football, played this game for a very long time, and somebody that I respect, and also looking forward to play against. But for us, it's about our process. They are going through their process, and for us, it's just focusing on our process and the things that we need to do to get us to where we need to be.
Yeah. It's listen, we're hearing Pa-Modou Kah, right? Enough times now, right? It's being methodical. It's trusting the process, right? You have respect for the opposition and what they're doing, but I don't know. It's going to be an interesting game plan. I think, right, Monterey Bay, they've always kind of been that team where they like to play fast. They like to play high octane to a point. it's going to be interesting, especially depending on who Phoenix Rising not only rolls out, but really is able to roll out.
Yeah, and they have had missed a lot of guys this season. I mean, you look, there's a reason Jamison Ping started. It is, I mean, he does have the ability, but Charlie Dennis missed out, Julia on the bench, JP Skier's out, Casey Walls missed out on the back line. The injuries really piled up for this team, and they're getting a few back. I mean, Emi Quasia went off in that match against Rhode Island injured. Mm-hmm. Finding ways to kind of cope without some of these guys is going to be key for success on Saturday.
100%. And let's hear from Pa-Modou Kah on some injury updates.
No, he's feeling better. He's definitely in the picture. So which is a good news.
And then with the rest of the squad injury-wise?
Rest of the squad injury-wise, we're coming along, which is a great thing, you know. And yeah, we're going through a little bit of adversity, which is great. I love it because that is also where you get to understand yourself, you understand your team. And listen, we are 3 points from fourth.
Yeah, I mean, right as you heard over, you know, right. Overall updates on the squad as well as Emi Quasia, first player he's referencing, with an update there. I mean, he's not wrong. 3 points off fourth. That's 3 games in. You're not wrong. It's just, I think you kind of start to see, this will be the 4th match, kind of the month point since the season started. I mean, this is where, again, season is not won or lost within the 4th match or the 5th match or the 6th match. But, I mean...
What about the 7th?
I mean, I don't know. I'm looking at the chart you created of how Rising has fared historically. That might be the inflection point. No, but I don't know. I think it's going to be, this is very much a pivotal match, as they all are. But I don't know. This is one where... Does Pa-Modou Kah notch his first win with Phoenix Rising on the road against Monterey Bay?
Is this a score prediction question?
I mean, I kind of turned out in.
Well, I actually did not think about this at all prior. I think Rising can continue its goal-scoring form. Monterey Bay letting Anthony Sihaha go is a mistake in my opinion. I know they brought in a couple different guys to play in net for them. I'm just not entirely sold on either of them. I haven't faced enough chances, so I think Rising can capitalize. Monterey Bay can be stout defensively, but I think this team can break them down. I'm going to go 2-2 draw.
Would you like to name the goal scorers?
Give me, I'll even name Monterey Bay goal scorers. Mayele Malongo scores for Monterey Bay. And Elijah Paul against technically his former club, though he never made a senior appearance. And then for Rising, Remy's got to get off the mark. I think I guess he did get off the mark against El Paso, but just continue adding to it. And then give me another Jurl. Give me Jurl goal. Mr. Aura.
Mr. Aura. Okay. I'll save myself for going last. Mr. Kyle Cooper, you got a score prediction for the people.
Oh, Max.
Setting you up for failure.
No, I think Rising will fail.
Oh, wow.
Gosh.
Wow.
Oh, brutal.
Losing 3-2 to
3-2.
Monterey Bay. I mean,
you guys just want the goals.
Yeah,
like
Rising's scoring a lot of goals.
They are.
So.
They are.
No.
We honestly, it's funny. Like in retrospect, we were like, oh man, like this first match, 1 goal combined between the first 2 clubs, you know, between the 2 clubs. Oh, there's not a ton of firepower, you know, in between the sides. Next 2 matches, 12 goals combined. That's kind of, I mean, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. That's actually kind of insane. That's a lot of goals.
Yeah.
Dang. That's a lot.
So what's your prediction then, Max?
I'm just stalling at this
You're
point.
very
Let's
much
read a bit now. I got Phoenix Rising for the first time this season. They're scoring the first goal. It's gonna be.
That would be history.
It's gonna be Remy Cabral. However, it's drawing 1-1.
Drawing 1-1.
It's drawing 1-1. I think it's gonna be an open game. It's gonna be high scoring, but
high scoring and 1-1 in the same.
Sorry. Let me rephrase. High octane, not high scoring. You're right. And, you know, I will say though, there are some. We have seen enough Phoenix Rising matches. If it's 1-1, that is high scoring for standards.
You put that in 2024. That's probably the second most scoring game of the season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, I mean, no. Are you kidding me? 2 goals combined for this edition of Phoenix Rising. I mean, yeah, that's not many goals. But no, 1-1. I think it's going to be high octane of a performance. I think it's going to be an open match. Rising get the first goal through a Remy Cabral strike. And I think they look good. I just don't think they put that second one away. And Monterey Bay, they do claw one back. Let's see what the chat has to stay. 2-1 first Rising win. Okay. Devinall, 4-2. Phoenix Rising. Chat, keep on sending in
Confidence.
Yeah, I like. Listen, this is uncharted territory. I feel we haven't been
really
here in a
is.
while. When was the last time we're getting a multiple, positive
2023.
positive? I mean, maybe
Maybe against Miami last year. That's probably.
well, 3 for 3. James Wilson, 3-1. Phoenix Rising. Okay. We're here.
New era.
It's a new era. Okay. All right. And you had what, Remy and Drill?
Yeah.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. We'll keep sending those in, guys. We'll of course read them off as you're sending them in. Yeah, there's always Rising stuff to talk about, and I know next week we'll have its own share of updates, but we have a couple things to kind of touch on as it's relevant. We're talking about Phoenix Rising. They're a club on the rise. You know who's not? US Soccer's in the mud.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's brutal.
It's awful. I mean,
Potch out. And listen, I'll even do him a favor. Potch out. We'll do him a favor. We're going to teach him a lesson. Go back to Spurs. We don't hate that.
You don't like Big Ange?
No, I do like Big Ange. I think it's inevitable at that point.
Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Nations League, CONCACAF Nations League semifinal and final over the weekend. If you watch the CONCACAF Nations League final, you didn't see the U.S. play because they lost 1-0 to Panama, a 94th minute winner.
Terry Henry getting mauled.
That was awesome. That was cool.
Yeah.
It's a shame it wasn't the U.S. players doing that because and that made it a little less cool. It was one of the, I don't want to say worst, but it probably was one of the worst performances I've seen from a lot of the U.S. players, especially Captain America, Christian Pulisic. He was lackluster, and that's very polite describing his performance. And then against Canada, it was much of the same. Canada honestly could have won that by much more. 2-1. And the crowds were terrible. A little less than a year and a half until the World Cup.
Brutal.
And
hi, people. Come on.
The performances are like that. The crowd's like that. The vibes can only be negative, really, with this group at the moment.
Ooh, yeah, it's a toughie.
It's bad.
It's a toughie.
Bad.
I mean, here's the other thing. I mean, in theory, and by the way, I do have to shout out Mr. Albert 2-0 Phoenix Rising. We are now 4 for 4 with Rising win prediction. You just gotta get that. You definitely, yes, Carlos Harvey
He was
a brick
he was
wall
very
against
good
the
in
US
that game.
too. Yeah, Phoenix Rising alum, legend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Hang it in the rafters.
100% hanging in the rafters, Carlos Harvey. Yeah, I think it's a weird spot for the U.S. I mean, they don't have a ton of games to.
They don't have any meaningful games.
I mean,
really.
right? They don't have a ton of stuff. They don't have a ton of time to get their team meaningfully together. You do have a couple injuries here and there. You had some guys having to pull out of, right? Does this team look drastically different if you have a Serginho Dest, a Jedi Robinson in there? I would say yes, but it's also, right? Like, again, like we were saying, how often do you have your best 11 available, especially at the international level? It's not often. And I mean, even without the excuse, excuses or not, you just got to put up more of a fight. And this is no offense to the rest of the CONCACAF, but it's CONCACAF.
It is
man.
CONCACAF.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, we'll say this is not to say, CONCACAF are gritty and like the way they play, and like no one's denying that. But you're not even in you're playing in LA.
Yeah.
You're playing in a beautiful stadium. Like
Beautiful
this isn't
stadium,
even,
perfect
this isn't
pitch.
even like the other place in CONCACAF where it's notoriously like hostile environments and the grass is like overgrown and everything. No, like this is picturesque landscape and everything like that. So it's tough. You hate to see it. I mean, I will say, and like, man, hope for a speedy recovery. But I mean, at least you're not Alphonso Davies. My God, dude, that is a brutal story. Knock against Mexico. I mean, apparently, according to reports, like knock against Mexico, it starts as the captain against the U.S. and, pulls out with a knee injury, 12 minutes in or so. And, it's just a knock or whatever. No, dude, torn ACL. Like, oh my gosh, I feel awful. That's brutal.
And this timing too, you'd be coming back from the fitness, next January, and you've got to heat up in 5-6 months to get ready for the World Cup that Canada be hosting a part of too. That's not, I mean, really, I don't know if there's a CONCACAF nation that, has good vibes going into the World Cup.
No.
Because Mexico's certainly not. I know they won the Nations League.
Give
but
it time. Yeah, Mexico seems to implode.
And I mean, they kind of have been even before that.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. The vibes are low. The vibes are low around North America.
The vibes are low.
You know who did play good internationally though? England.
Yeah, we knew this was going here.
No, they did look really good.
No, that's. I mean, Thomas Tuchel. Like that's. If there was someone who hasn't managed international football that's built for international football, that is the guy. That is absolutely a guy. As Albert, America is a soccer country, just not a U.S. men's national team country. You ain't wrong. I mean, right? Like optimism, and even though they lost within their final, like U.S. women's national team, that's at an all-time high. Like I think, like right? There's time for everything, and I'm not by any means doom and gloom. It's over. I'm not pot shot or anything. That's just like there's not as many opportunities, and you're kind of just what do you have to hold on to? You're just holding on player form and just hoping that people get it together. Yeah. But it's tough, man. Like you have a couple friendlies announced against like Switzerland and
I think Tunisia.
Yeah, something. And it's like that's fine. That's great. It's better than nothing. It's just like this is tough. Like this, it's not even about winning the tournament. It's about like you want to show out and show up, and it's like
there's nothing.
You scored one goal in 2 matches, and just it didn't look convincing like at all.
And it's not a player who's likely to be in the World Cup camp either. Patrick Achimang, all due respect, I think he's a very good striker, but if they have a fully healthy squad or a fully healthy pool, he's not there. I don't even know if they have a half healthy pool. He's there.
Yeah. Devin, how about Wales equalizer against North Macedonia? Well, how about the North Macedonia stoppage time and then the Wales stop? I mean, Owen's not here. I don't want to give Wales credit. Yeah, I don't want to give Wales credit.
Who cares about Wales?
Yeah, who cares about Wales? Vibes are in the tanker. Do have to remind you guys, PHNX Green Jacket Open Scramble, April 12th, 2 p.m. Shotgun start, Dobson Ranch Golf Course in Mesa. Again, we timed it out. You can go to our tournament and then go to the Rising game later that evening. Even had Kevin saying, oh yeah, he's got a tournament at 8 o'clock. I'm like, well, pull double duty because that one will finish around noon and then come straight to ours. 2 p.m. shotgun start. Entry fee includes 18 holes of golf with a cart, range balls, food, drinks, teas, gifts. And I can't really say this yet, but I'm going to throw this out there into the universe. There may or not be a vehicle giveaway, a ton of large vehicle. But sign up, go phnx.com/events, take part, April 12th. It's a fun darn time. Take a look at the screen. We got to end with some palate cleanser. It's been, we kind of started kind of high, then we kind of got in a downer, and then it ended even more of a downer. Mr. Kyle Cooper, I don't want all of the ammo you got.
No,
you're right. I want to save some for the following week. But why don't you give us a little palate cleanser? What we got? What we got on the dock? Ooh, Mr. Owen Evans. Who is that prepubescent boy on the right hand side? Are we able to zoom in by chance? Can we zoom in on Owen and just make that pretty little? Yeah.
Owen.
See, he pat him on. You gotta pat him on the head.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You gotta pat Owen on the head. Give him a little attaboy. Yeah, that's fair. And then what about any others? Any others that we got as a nice palate cleanser? Let's see. Whoa! Look at the bow tie on that guy. Woo!
See, now he's gonna come to a Rising match dressed like that.
I mean, listen, he already goes full suits and everything. We got it. We got to have him in the bow tie, in the bow tie, the black suit, and the white button down. Do we have enough? Maybe one more. Yeah. This is where it all starts, folks. Big J journalism. You got to start it at a young age. Mr. Owen Evans, what a guy.
Mr. Vacation.
Mr. Vacations. Yeah, that's what happens when you go on vacation.
You think he's booking a vacation in that photo?
I think so. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go. Man, like even though it's years out, I'm gonna leave. On March 26th, 2025, I'm gonna abandon the PHNX Rising podcast and just go on vacation. How dare this guy? How dare he? Oh man, does that give you just a new impression of Owen?
It does. It changes the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm right there with you. Well, appreciate everyone joining us here on the PHNX Rising podcast. Make sure to leave a like on your way out of here. Of course, usual, right? We'll be back Wednesday, 6 p.m., running all the fun back hop in the Discord, say what's up in the meantime, give you guys some breakdowns and everything of this upcoming match against Monterey Bay within there. Till then, of course, you can follow the show at PHNX__rising, double the underscore.
Double the shows, or not Max. Owen's missing. I'm so used to saying.
Totally Owen and not Max.
Freudian
I would never.
slip there.
No, there's no Freudian slip. No Freudian slip. It's Owen. Owen's Mr. Vacations. You can follow me on Twitter at Max David Simpson. You can follow Mr. Vacations on Twitter at OJ Evans 18, and also his burner at I Love Wrexham and England. Nice. You can follow Rees on Twitter at Rees11_. You can follow Kyle on Twitter at KCube Sports. Again, back here Wednesday, 6 p.m. Follow us in the meantime for all the good stuff. And it's a beautiful game, but it's way more beautiful when, you actually show up to the PHNX Rising podcast. Good night, everyone.